BingX, a trusted global crypto exchange. Trade spot, futures, or copy top traders easily. Sign up via the link or referral code to get 30 USDT instantly, plus up to 1,500 USDT in bonuses for verification, deposit, and trading.
The United States has channeled a significant financial sum of $7.5 million to Equatorial Guinea, a nation widely recognized for its deeply entrenched corruption and repressive governance, in a move to facilitate the acceptance of non-citizen deportees from American soil. This critical development, confirmed by a prominent Democratic figure in Congress, alongside current and former State Department officials, and corroborated by publicly available government data, marks a notable shift in the allocation of funds previously earmarked for addressing international refugee crises. Instead, under the current administration's directive, these resources have been repurposed to expedite the deportation process. The substantial sum transferred to Equatorial Guinea represents the inaugural disbursement from a fund established by Congress specifically to confront global refugee emergencies, a fund that has historically been utilized for the resettlement of refugees within the United States. However, the Trump administration has now redirected these funds to accelerate deportations, a decision that has raised considerable alarm. According to official government records, the $7.5 million originated from the Migration and Refugee Assistance (MRA) emergency fund and was transferred directly to the government of Equatorial Guinea. This nation is helmed by President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, who has held power for an extraordinary 46 years. Both he and his son, Vice President Nguema Obiang, are subjects of grave accusations regarding the embezzlement of vast sums from their impoverished country, funds allegedly diverted to sustain their ostentatious lifestyles. The transparency and ethical implications of this financial arrangement have been questioned by key lawmakers. In a strongly worded letter addressed to Secretary of State Jeanne Shaheen, the ranking Democratic senator on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee described the payment as highly unusual. She underscored Equatorial Guinea's documented history of corruption and the involvement of its government officials in human trafficking, thereby raising serious concerns over the responsible, transparent use of American taxpayer dollars. Senator Shaheen further pressed for clarity on any protective measures that would safeguard the deportees from potential human trafficking, human smuggling, or broader human rights abuses. This critical correspondence, a copy of which was obtained by The Guardian and initially reported by the Associated Press, signals deep apprehension within Congress regarding the administration's international deportation strategies. This specific agreement aligns with the administration's increasingly controversial initiative to deport individuals to third countries, a policy that has drawn significant criticism from human rights organizations. As recently as July, United Nations experts issued stark warnings that this policy could result in individuals being removed to foreign nations within a single day, often without adequate legal protections or opportunities to present claims of torture or persecution. Washington has reportedly engaged with at least 58 governments concerning the acceptance of deportees, frequently employing financial incentives or diplomatic pressure, including threats of travel bans, to secure these agreements. The alarming commonality among many of these participating countries, including Eswatini, South Sudan, and El Salvador, is their documented history of severe human rights abuses as outlined in State Department reports. A spokesperson for the State Department, responding to an inquiry from The Guardian, affirmed that implementing the Trump administration's immigration policies is a top priority for the Department of State. The spokesperson reiterated Secretary Rubio's stated commitment to end illegal and mass immigration and bolster America's border security. However, when pressed for details regarding diplomatic communications with other nations, the department stated, "We have no comment on the details of our diplomatic communications with other governments." Further complicating the narrative is the September meeting between Christopher Landau, then U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, and Teodoro Nguema Obiang, the Vice President of Equatorial Guinea. Obiang himself has faced legal scrutiny, having been convicted in a Paris court in 2017 for embezzling tens of millions of euros and laundering the illicit proceeds in France. The U.S. Department of Justice, in a 2012 determination, found that he had spent an astonishing $315 million globally on properties, supercars, and other luxury items. The U.S. ultimately seized over $27 million from him, including properties, high-end vehicles, and a distinctive white glove once worn by Michael Jackson during his Bad tour. During their meeting, held on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly, Landau and Obiang reportedly reaffirmed joint commitments to deepen commercial and economic ties, combat illegal immigration, and advance security cooperation, according to the State Department. Vice President Obiang subsequently confirmed in late October his readiness to collaborate with the Trump administration on the orderly reception of undocumented immigrants, under strict joint protocols designed to guarantee a safe and coordinated process. This particular deal has been conducted with a degree of discretion, a fact that observers find noteworthy given the administration's public pronouncements regarding its success in forging agreements for the deportation of third-country nationals who cannot be repatriated to their countries of origin. A congressional aide, speaking anonymously, characterized the agreement as a notable, egregious agreement, highlighting the inherent risk of a direct transfer of money to a government that is highly corrupt. The aide further emphasized that funds designated for migration and refugee assistance are traditionally allocated to responding to refugee and humanitarian crises overseas, citing examples such as crises in Gaza or Sudan, rather than for the removal of non-citizens from the United States. The aide questioned the allocation, stating, "There's plenty of places where these funds should be used to support refugees overseas in the midst of conflict or humanitarian crises. There's certainly need. So again, why are we sending this to Equatorial Guinea?" Adding another layer of concern, a Democratic congressional aide suggested that the State Department might have selectively disclosed the agreement only to Republican lawmakers, whom they described as grossly partisan recently, even more than usual. The office of Senator